What up, what up, what up? It's Ray V. Let's get it.
Sad boy.
Sad boy quote of the day.
F ain't for feels, it's for fantasies. So let's get into our deepest fantasies, baby. I'll give you a third for him, though.
Comment section. PJ Redacted asked, if everyone knows Rashee Rice is a buy low, wouldn't the sellers know to sell high? And I said, with all the news going on, I'm sure people will want to get rid of him. It doesn't sound good that he had a cleanup surgery and is now rehabbing in jail. Then the Chiefs came out with news that they aren't going to continue contract talks with him at this time. Surely the panic to sell for anything is there. Not every league, but I would believe most. Just like in the real trades we went through in this video, it's Tuesday, so let's do one of y'all's favorite vids, 5 buy lows. Yes, I see the analytics. Y'all really like these types of videos. Yes, you could probably guess what tomorrow's video is going to be as well, but let's check out some buy lows, specifically contender buy lows, so you can get active in your leagues today. Our first guy is going to be Michael Pittman. Pittman is a winner from the Aaron Rodgers signing. There is over 120 plus vacated targets in the Pittsburgh offense. He will thrive with Rodgers in the short and intermediate game. Last year on the Colts, he was wide receiver 6 overall through weeks 1 to 9. Damn, I knew I should have traded him away in my redraft leagues. Hopefully the Pittman manager in your league thinks he's boring, he's not elite, he's tied to shaky QB play, he's getting older. While these are all true, this is exactly why he will be cheap. Dynasty value swings too hard towards youth and upside. Pittman is one of those receivers who quietly give you usable wide receiver 2 production, while everyone keeps trying to replace him with the next shiny rook. The key value in Dynasty leagues is stable weekly starters are massively undervalued, especially in Superflex leagues because managers are over-hoarding QBs and future picks. But Pittman fits perfectly as a contender buy. His bad seasons are still startable. Last season, he still had 80 catches and 174 yards, even with the horrible second half of the season after losing Daniel Jones. This is the floor that people are panicking about. A lot of Dynasty wide receivers valued near him have never produced that level of volume. The production dip had real and necessary context. The market is acting like he suddenly became washed, but there were major situation issues. Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. Pittman dealt with injuries the past 2 seasons, including a fracture in his back, but he still maintained a strong target share and catch volume for stretches at times. The community tends to remember the ugly box scores, not the reasons behind him. He also has one of the safest archetypes in Dynasty. Pittman wins with size, route reliability, possession work, and chain moving targets. Those wide receivers age better than pure athletic separators. He doesn't need that cute 4-3 speed to survive. He needs QB trust, and coaches and QBs that consistently trust him. Rodgers and the Steelers will give him that. Even critics of his game still describe him as reliable and assignment sound. That profile sticks around the league for a long time. The Steelers' landing spot and Aaron Rodgers at QB suits Pittman very well. Hopefully your league still thinks of him as the disappointing Colts wide receiver. The adjusted fantasy upside of the Steelers is simple. Defenses will focus on DK Metcalf while Pittman works the underneath and intermediate, and he becomes a high volume possession target. You don't need him to become a wide receiver 1 overall. You need 130 targets, red zone work, and weekly flex stability. That's attainable, and that's how championships are won. Dynasty managers are like Leonardo DiCaprio for real. They see a 28-year-old wide receiver and they think he's out of his prime. He's just not good anymore. I need to go get someone younger for real. This is the sweet spot where productive veterans become cheaper than they should be. People would rather roster a wide receiver who might become Michael Pittman rather than Michael Pittman himself. It's for real the Family Guy meme. You want the boat or the mystery box? The mystery box could even be a boat. This creates arbitrage. Send that second or trendy young bench wide receiver in a pick. That's good process for a contender. He's exactly the kind of wide receiver contenders regret not buying. Every year there are veteran wide receivers everyone calls mid, boring, declining, and then they finish wide receiver 18 and you rock them in your second flex spot all season long. Pittman has already shown that he could produce through terrible QB situations and unstable offenses. Pittman himself isn't a league-winning asset. He's the type of player who lets your roster survive injuries, bye weeks, QB disasters while still putting up 13 to 16 points a game. That matters more than Dynasty Twitter wants to admit. OTC trades, I got Pittman for Besh and a third. That's a perfect buy low. Pittman for a 2027 second, give me that. He should probably be valued towards the back end of a first, so 1 second, 2 thirds, third and a young guy, all buy lows in my opinion. Next guy is Terry McLaurin. McLaurin was plagued by injuries all last season after holding out during training camp. Not only will he be healthy and ramped up this season due to not missing training camp, but Jaden Daniels will return and should also be healthy. McLaurin was wide receiver number 7 overall in Daniels' healthy season, and that was his rookie season. You should be able to buy low on McLaurin because Dynasty managers are treating him like he's already dead value-wise, but the reality is he's still the clear wide receiver 1 attached to a franchise QB. The age cliff fear is doing all the work for you right now. In Superflex leagues, productive veteran wide receivers become instantly undervalued because everyone wants QBs, rookie picks, or ascending assets. Meanwhile, contenders actually need players who score points. Everyone remembers the disappointing 2025 season, but not the context. On paper, McLaurin's 2025 season looks like missed games, injuries, lower counting stat, and outside the elite wide receiver tier, but the context matters. He had a quad injury, hold-out trade demand drama entering the season, and backup QB after Jaden Daniels missed time. McLaurin still averaged 12.7 PPR points in games after the injury, despite reduced snaps and unstable QB play. That's not washed. That's a veteran surviving chaos. People act like you're hoping for a breakout. We've already seen it. With a healthy Jaden Daniels in his rookie season in 2024, McLaurin posted 1,096 yards, 13 touchdowns, and a wide receiver 1 level production. Wide receiver 7 overall, like I said earlier. He is an underpriced contender buy low because the market overcorrected after the injury season. You're not buying projection. You're not buying projection. You're buying a proven outcome at a discount. Washington still wants the offense to run through McLaurin. This is the biggest thing Dynasty managers are ignoring. Washington's new OC, David Blau, reportedly wants McLaurin getting 10 targets per game and said the offense should be built around generating explosive plays for him. That's not how teams talk about declining players they want to phase out. That's how teams talk about offensive centerpieces. Also, his archetype ages well. McLaurin isn't surviving on raw athleticism anymore. He wins with route precision, contested catches, timing, body control, and professionalism. Those guys often remain productive longer than Dynasty managers expect. He also had relatively low NFL wear compared to some older wide receivers because he entered the league later and wasn't overloaded early in his career. The market price is contender gold. This is the most important part. The community is valuing him like a declining wide receiver 3, temporary flex, and a 1-year rental. But contenders don't need a 5-year asset. They need weekly stability, spike weeks, and lineup insulation. A solo second or 2/3 might be able to get this guy off a Leonardo DiCaprio type manager if we're being for real. If that's the cost for a target alpha tied to Jaden Daniels with proven wide receiver 1 upside, that's exactly the type of move contenders should make. He's the perfect boring points Dynasty buy. Every season, Dynasty players chase rookie upside, ambiguous wide receiver rooms, and theoretical breakouts. Then by week 10, they desperately need someone scoring 14 points every week. That's McLaurin. He's one of those players people hate trading for but love having in their lineups. In Superflex leagues, wide receiver depth gets compressed because so much value flows towards QBs. That creates a weird market inefficiency where elite wide receivers stay expensive while productive veterans become cheap. McLaurin is exactly the kind of player who helps contenders survive QB injuries, bye weeks, and volatile young wide receivers busting. No pause. You're not buying him to gain Dynasty value. You're buying him because there's a realistic chance he gives you wide receiver 2 production with wide receiver 1 spike weeks for the price of a future dart throw. That's how championship rosters get built. OTC trades, McLaurin for Damon Claiborne, 3rd and a 4th. Yes, that's basically 2/3 and a 4th. That's a buy low. McLaurin for Metcalf, give me that. Seeing McLaurin for a solo second, some 2nd and 3rd, feel like that's still a buy low. Any of these types of trades get the sign off from me. Next is Mike Evans. Evans heads to Santa Clara where his only opposition should be the electrical substation on the other side of the parking lot. He is old and coming off an injury-plagued season, missing 9 games. He was injured in week 3, rushed back to return in week 7, just to re-injure that same hammy in the same game in like 10 snaps. It was something dumb like that. He then missed 6 more games for rushing back too soon. Those types of injuries and time missed need all the context in there. He should be fully healthy for this season and still be a big-bodied red zone threat as per usual. One of the Niners' biggest Achilles heel is finishing in the red zone. Evans is a wide receiver that Purdy can truly just throw a go up and go get it ball in the end zone. This will help the Niners offense as a whole, but also inflate Evans' fantasy production. I wouldn't be surprised if Evans had over 10 touchdowns this season. He could have a potential Devontae Adams resurgence type of season, specifically with the touchdown bounce. You could buy low on Evans because Dynasty managers have been trying to predict his decline for like 5 years straight now, and he keeps punishing them for it. Now the market finally might be right eventually, but Dynasty is about price versus production, not predicting retirement 2 years early. And right now, Evans is priced like a dead asset while still having a realistic path to difference-making weekly production. That's the inefficiency. The market is anchored to the injury season. People see age 33, missed games, production dip, and injury concerns, and mentally move him into the washed veteran bucket. His 2025 season was ugly statistically because injuries wrecked it. He played only 8 games and snapped the 1,000 yards a season streak, but that's also why the buy window exists. If he had another 1,100 yard season, nobody would be selling him cheaply right now. He still has elite traits that age well. Evans isn't surviving on speed anymore. He wins with size, catch radius, red zone dominance, body control, and contested catches. Those traits historically age better than the separation-based wide receivers. Touchdown scorers especially tend to remain fantasy relevant longer than people expect because they don't need 170 targets to matter. Even during the decline discussion, people still talk about him as a quarterback security blanket and high leverage target. The he's too old discount is massive in Superflex leagues. This is where the edge comes from. In Superflex Dynasty, QBs, rookie picks, and young wide receivers are what absorb value. Older productive wide receivers become oddly cheap. A contender can often get Evans for a second, a fringe young player, or a package package no one will remember in 18 months. Meanwhile, there's still a real chance he gives you wide receiver 2 production, spike week wide receiver 1 finishes, and elite touchdown upside. That's league-winning roster installation. People forget how insanely consistent he has been. Before the injury, Evans had 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons, multiple double-digit touchdown years, and elite weekly ceiling outcomes. That level of consistency is absurd. Evans will probably be permanently undervalued because everyone keeps expecting the cliff before it actually happens. At some point, the cliff will come, but dynasty managers are usually early, not late, on aging wide receiver declines. Situation still matters, and his could be better than the market thinks. Even with all the uncertainty around his future, there's optimism he remains tied to strong QB play, whether that's with the Niners and Purdy or landing in another contending offense past this year. Good QBs plus elite red zone wide receivers simply equals fantasy points. That formula ages extremely well. Evans is exactly the kind of player contenders should target. The best dynasty contenders usually have a few ugly assets like older wide receivers, boring producers, and players nobody wants to rank highly, but those players win weeks, especially when you have them in your flex zone. Evans could still realistically give you 6 catches, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns on any given Sunday. There's maybe 15 wide receivers in football right now that have that nuclear type of weekly ceiling. The replacement level argument matters. A future second round rookie pick sounds exciting in May, but by November, you may desperately wish that you had a startable vet, touchdown equity, playoff experience, and lineup stability. That's straight up Mike Evans. You're not buying him to appreciate in value. You're buying him because if he gives you even one more strong season, he massively outproduces the cost. And in Superflex Dynasty, that's often the difference between good rebuild process and actually winning your league. OTC trades, Mike Evans for 2027 second, give me that. Let me win my chip this year. Evans and a fourth for a 2 and a 3, easy buy low. Seeing a lot of 2 and 3 from any mixture of years, yes. Evans for Parker Washington, straight up. Might have egg on my face for this one, but give me Evans. Evans for Romeo Dobbs, easy work. All types of buy lows here that you can try. Next guy is Tony Pollard. Pollard is one of 2 running backs that have had 1,000 plus rushing yards in each season in the last 4 years. He has been stupid consistent in these last 4 years, with 30 plus receptions in each year too. The Nick Singleton hype is nice and all, but Pollard is still projected to be the lead back in the Titans backfield. The Titans also shored up their wide receiver core, so that should free up their run game. You could buy low on Tony Pollard because dynasty managers are treating him like he's already out of the league, while he keeps quietly producing usable RB2 seasons. He's the exact kind of player contenders should target in Superflex, an ugly asset, low liquidity, no hype, but still scores points. And at running back, that's often all that matters. The dynasty market hates boring veteran running backs. Pollard has basically become fantasy wallpaper. Nobody gets excited about him anymore because he's 29, isn't explosive like peak Dallas Pollard who was playing behind Zeke, shares touches, and Tennessee's offense disappointed last year. But production still matters. While never being under 1,000 yards rushing and 30 catches in the last 4 seasons, he's also never finished below running back 24 in that span as well. That's a much stronger floor than the market price suggests. People are pricing him like he's already dead. This is the entire edge. Keep Trade Cut currently values him around a late second round rookie pick. Think about that. I'm sure you can get him for much less than that too. A contender can potentially acquire a projected starting running back with receiving work who still has RB2 upside. All that for the same price as a dart throw rookie pick that may never become startable. That's exactly the kind of inefficiency contenders should exploit. Tennessee's offense has improved on paper and should improve on the field as well. This is another thing the market is missing. The Titans offense was awful last year with their bottom tier scoring, rookie QB play, and poor efficiency. Now there's optimism around Cam Ward developing, Brian Daboll helping this offense, and improved passing efficiency. Better offensive efficiency alone could push Pollard back into solid running back 2 territory. Running back fantasy value swings massively with offensive environment. You don't need Pollard to become elite again. You simply need red zone trips, checkdowns, and usable weekly volume. The workload fears may be overstated. Every year, dynasty managers talk themselves into Pollard losing the job completely. And every year, coaches still trust him, he still handles meaningful volume, and he still catches passes. Even after Tennessee drafted Nick Singleton, it should still be noted that Tajay Spears rarely handled heavy rushing workloads last season, and Pollard is still projected as the likely lead back. Could the workload shrink eventually? Absolutely. But dynasty players are acting like that has already happened. He's still exactly what contenders need. This is the important part. Pollard isn't a dynasty cornerstone asset anymore. He's a running back 2, flex stabilizer, bye-week solution, injury replacement, and contender depth piece. Those players matter enormously in Superflex because roster fragility gets amplified. When your QB2 gets hurt or your young running back busts, you need vets who could still give you 12 carries, 3 catches, 80 total yards, and touchdown upside. Pollard still offers that profile. His career workload is lower than most 29-year-old running backs. This is quietly one of the best arguments for him. Pollard spent years as a complimentary back in Dallas before becoming a full-time starter. That doesn't guarantee longevity, but it does make him more interesting than the typical 29-year-old running back everyone writes off immediately. Running back scarcity still wins titles. Every dynasty offseason, people convince themselves that they can stream running back 2 production. Then injuries hit. Suddenly, everyone is paying future future seconds, future first, and young wide receiver depth for playable running backs in November. Pollard is the kind of player smart contenders buy before the desperation phase, or as I like to call it, the get bent phase. Especially in Superflex, where so much value gets concentrated into QBs, vet running backs become weirdly cheap relative to their actual weekly utility. He doesn't need to be special to beat cost. That's the whole point. If Pollard gives you one more running back 2 season, decent receiving usage, playable weekly volume, then he probably already outperforms acquisition costs. And if Tennessee's offense takes even a moderate step forward, you suddenly have a low-end running back 1, high-end running back 2 season from a player people were treating like a roster filler. That's the kind of low-risk contender bet Dynasty championships are built on. OTC trades, Pollard and Godwin for a 2 and a 3 and 29. Yes, those are both easy buy lows. Packaged together too, that's beautiful. Seeing Pollard for second straight up, probably what he's worth, but a buy low would be at least a 28 or a 29 second in my opinion. Pollard for Jawan Jennings, yeah, so try a productive vet wide receiver maybe for him. I'm seeing him for a single third, so you can try that too. If it gets declined, then try 2 3s. Easy buy lows. And our last guy's gonna be a nasty one, but it's gonna be Jordan Mason. Mason sucked last year when he had the chance to overtake the often injured Aaron Jones during his yearly injury stint, but that may have just been because the offense itself was trash. Even in the struggling offense, Mason still showcases explosiveness. Now, with Kyler Murray at the helm, supposedly by the way sources are saying, he should be able to prove that his strong efficiency metrics weren't just a fluke. He's also entering his contract year, as is Aaron Jones, so this should be the most motivating factor for him. He should want to play his best ball this year and try to be the RB1 here next season. You buy low on Jordan Mason because Dynasty managers still see him as just a backup, even after he repeatedly showed he can produce like a starting NFL running back when given volume. He's the perfect superflex contender target since he's cheap, productive, insulated by situation, and one injury away from a massive value swing, and the market still hasn't fully caught up. He already proved that he can handle lead back work. This isn't a theoretical upside bet anymore. When Aaron Jones missed last year, Mason averaged 14.8 carries, 75 rushing yards, nearly a touchdown per game, and almost 14 PPR points per game. Over a full season, this production would have translated to running back 18 overall. That's not handcuff only production, that's legitimate fantasy starter output. Minnesota is an elite running back environment. This is one of the biggest reasons to buy. Even Dynasty players skeptical of the Vikings backfield still admit the offensive line is strong, the offense creates rushing efficiency, and the system supports fantasy running backs. You don't need Mason to be a superstar level talent. You need efficient touches, scoring opportunities, and competent offensive structure. Minnesota gives him all three. The age curve is actually favorable. This is sneakily important. Mason is already 26, which sounds older for a breakout running back, but his NFL wear is still relatively light because he spent years buried on depth charts and wasn't overloaded early in his career. He's still young enough to have multi-year value while Aaron Jones is nearing the end of his career. That creates a rare Dynasty profile where he's at a cheap vet price but still has a realistic future runway. His market price makes almost no sense. This is the whole buy low case. People are valuing Mason like a backup, roster clogger, and temporary committee piece. In reality, he is someone who can gain major value quickly if the backfield shifts even slightly in his favor. That asymmetry matters. If Mason fails, you probably lost a late third or a bench player for him. If he hits, nice. You suddenly have a weekly running back 2, trade leverage, injury insulated depth, or a sell high asset later on. That's exactly the type of bet That's exactly the type of bet strong Dynasty players make. Running back ambiguity creates opportunity. Dynasty managers hate uncertain backfields, but uncertain backfields are often where league-winning values come from. Right now, people are scared because Aaron Jones still exists, the Vikings could rotate backs, Mason isn't a locked-in starter. That uncertainty suppresses price, but uncertainty cuts both ways. But uncertainty cuts both ways. One injury, one coaching shift, one hot start, suddenly Mason becomes one of the most valuable running back buys in Dynasty. We've seen this exact thing happen with Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Tyler Algier, James Conner, and David Montgomery. Productive running backs emerge from murky situations constantly. Coaches clearly trust him. This matters more than Dynasty managers want to admit. Mason is a physical runner, reliable between tackles, a low mistake player, and a system fit. Those guys earn carries. NFL coaches care about staying on schedule, pass protection, and avoiding negative plays. Mason checks all those boxes. Superflex changes running back economics. In Superflex, running backs outside the elite tier get pushed down the board because, like I said earlier, QBs, young wide receivers, and rookie picks dominate value. That creates a huge pocket of undervalued vet running backs and contingency backs. Mason fits perfectly into that inefficiency. He's exactly the type of player contenders should stash before injuries hit, bye weeks pile up, and running back scarcity explodes in season. He doesn't need a full takeover to pay off. This is the most important part. You're not buying Mason because you think he's going to be the next Bijan Robinson. You're buying him because 10 to 14 14 touches per game is realistic, standalone flex value is realistic, and league winning upside exists if the depth chart changes. At the current cost, that's an incredible risk reward profile. And if Aaron Jones misses time again, as he often does, you suddenly have one of the best plug and play running back values in Dynasty. OTC, seeing him for a single third, some third and a fourth, yes, all day. 310 straight up, yeah, I'll do that. Seeing a single fourth and 2 fourths pretty often, yeah, that's worth a gamble. Any of these trades will be a buy low. Probably a single fourth and under is a true buy low. I know y'all like the players in the analysis that went along with it. Buy these contender buy lows. Or if you have these players, make sure to sell them higher than what I'm saying to buy them for. Crazy that it works both ways. Bet y'all ain't even noticed that. With that being said though, don't forget your daily dose of send that trade. Send it. That's it for today though. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, rebuilds fade, dynasties reign.
Call me a lover boy, simp, Libra. It's more than love sick, I got a fever. Feelings overloading, not to be a diva. Standing 10 toes down, I'm not gonna leave you.